Good morning, students. I'm here again with the third video for class 10th, chapter 3rd, money and credit. So in previous two videos, I've been talking about the money. Here is a little anecdote, a little story. I mean to say, I would explain COVID-19. What does COVID-19 stand for? CO means corona, VI virus, and D means disease, coronavirus disease. And you must have heard that it is related with pandemic, corona pandemic we say. Epidemic you must have heard, epidemic means large number of deaths occurring with a single reason. And what does pandemic stand for? Pandemic means a whole country or the world suffers for the same cause. The deaths are in the whole country or the other countries of the world. That is called pandemic. And with corona, the whole world is struck with it. And that's why corona is called a pandemic. I just took up this concept because our economy, and we are talking about money and credit, and money is related with the economy, and all our economies of the world are being struck, they have been obstructed, they have been hampered, and their growth have fallen down. Just a little information for you. Now with the Ncert zone, welcome you all. The first question goes, in the situations with high risks, credit might create further problems for the borrower. Explain. Yes, it is absolutely right, because credit is taken in the situation of crisis when the borrower is in problem and he takes credit to materialize his plans, his business, but if it fails, then he has to pay the premium amount as well as the interest, and that is a burden on him. Secondly, if he fails, a case may be filed against him in the court. That's another problem. That's why we say credit might create a problem. Going on to the second question, how does money solve the problem of double coincidence of bonds? Explain with your example. Barter system, as you all aware, commodities were exchanged for commodities. But money, being as a medium of exchange, has solved this problem. For example, a shoemaker now can easily go and sell his shoes, get the money, and fulfill his desire, whatever he wants to buy. But if there was no money in the flow, then the shoemaker would have looked for the wheat seller. Then the person would also be agreeing to buy his shoes, and then the both parties would exchange their goods, and then the shoemaker would be fulfilled or getting the wheat. That was when it was a barter system. But now simply money, go and fulfill your needs. How do banks mediate between those who have surplus money and those who need money? Banks play a very, very crucial role between the two. There are two types of people: those who have surplus money and those who need money. The people with the surplus money, they open an account, they deposit their money, and they get security as well as interest. The banks holding 15% of cash with them, rest of the portion of the money they give out as loans to those who need it. But they charge higher rate of interest from them. What the banks offer to the depositors and what the banks charges from the borrowers is the difference of the bank's is the bank's income. What the banks charge on loan is much higher than what they offer on deposits. This is how the banks mediate between the people who have and people who need money. Moving on to the next NCERT question. Look at the 10 rupee note. What is written on it, and can you explain this statement? The note says, Reserve Bank of India, guaranteed by the central government, I promise to pay the bearer the sum of 10 rupee note, 10 rupees, the sign of the governor. A little small question. Who is the present RBI governor? Any one of you? Yes, right? Sitaraman. Mrs. Sitaraman. Moving on to the question. This means that the central with the authority is given by the central government to RBI to issue the notes, and the signature says that the owner of the 10 rupee note can buy the value of commodity which is equal to this amount, and no one can refuse in accepting it. It is a legal tender because there is a guarantee, there is a signature, and both give, and no one can refuse to accept it. Then why do we need to expand formal sources of credit in India? Why there is need to expand the formal sources of credit in India? Yes. Why there is need? There are a number of reasons behind it why there is need to expand. Firstly, I would like to explain what is formal source and informal source. Formal sources of credit, they comprise of the banks, the cooperatives, where proper rules and regulations and proper documentation is done. Monitoring is done. Informal sources of credit comprise of money lenders, mahajans, then big farmers, relative friends, everyone, where the keeping of account books is all distorted. Lot of cheating is done, and no proper information is revealed to the borrower. Now, that's why it is said that formal sector needs to be expanded. Why? Firstly, the interest rate in formal sector is just 10 to 12%, while as compared to the informal sector, the interest rate is amounting or ranging from 30 to 60%. That is too high. And because of the too high interest rate, secondly, the farmers, the people are exploited mentally and financially. Whereas there is no exploitation in the formal sector. You have given years, the time is given to, and slowly and steadily you can repay your loan. Then comes that informal sector, the cheap credit of the formal sector is necessary for the country's development. It is also necessary that the banks and cooperatives should be in rural areas, should be expanded so that the dependence on the informal sector in the rural areas decreases, which is the source of exploitation. Then formal sector also need to be expanded so that each and every one gets loan to expand their business, to fulfill their needs, to raise their standard of living, everything, all round development can take place. Then formal sector loans need to be expanded with a very, very important reason, and especially in the rural areas, to save the farmers from debt trap. Debt trap means where your borrowing is more than the income. And the farmers are got trapped in this loan and they commit suicide, which is a very, very heart-wrecking scene. The lending should be increased so that the dependence on the informal sector is reduced. Then moving on to the next question. What is the basic idea behind the SHG for the poor? It is a microfinancing system, which is the newly developed one and very important nowadays. SHG means self-help groups. The word itself is explanatory. Apni madad khud karo. Self-help groups. Here, the members form the group. They are ranging about 25 to 30. Either they belong to the same profession or they live in the near neighborhood, whatever it is. And every month, they pay from 25 to 100 rupees and the proper account is kept. Each member contributes 25 to 100, whatever is their wish and will. And if anyone wishes small amounts of loans, they can take from it. And if this SHG works for 3 long years, they can be used as a guarantee from the bank for the banks for a larger amount if any of the members need a loan. This is the plus point of the SHG. And it is also called microfinancing, and this is the idea which is being developed and spread across the country. Small savings and meet your daily requirements. And then whoever has borrowed the money will repay the money in small installments with a very nominal interest rate. No collateral, no issues, nothing. Simply if you are a member, you will get the loan from the group. And it's really helping the women, rural women, in organizing and helping them to save for their future. Moving on to the next question. What are the reasons why the banks might not be willing to give to certain borrowers? Banks might be not willing to give to certain borrowers. Why? 4 things a borrower needs to supplement the banks. Firstly, he has to produce his income certificate, with which the banks rely on him, that seeing his income certificate, the banks will be assured that you are able to repay the loan because you have a regular income. Secondly, the borrower need to have 2 guarantors, that if in any case the borrower fails to repay the loan, the guarantors, they on behalf of the borrower repay the loan. And thirdly, they have to produce collateral. Collateral, as I previously told you, it is the asset which the borrower owns and it is pledged in the bank. They keep it with the bank in order, if the borrower fails to repay the loan, the banks can sell the asset and realize their money. And lastly, they have to get the certificate that their previous loan is all cleared. They are not overburdened by any other loan. All these 4 conditions are fulfilled, then only the banks give their loan. If any of the conditions are not, banks might be unwilling. This was this. Last question I will be taking up. In what ways does the Reserve Bank of India supervises the functioning of the banks and why is it necessary? As we all know that the RBI is the apex bank in the country. It has the whole powers to issue the currency and no other organization. Firstly, as the commercial banks are required to maintain a cash reserve with them, so the Reserve Bank monitors, are they really maintaining the cash balance? Secondly, periodically banks have to submit to the RBI what interest rate, to whom, they are giving the loans. Then bank sees that whatever cash reserve they have to maintain with the RBI, are they really keeping and maintaining the cash reserve with the RBI? And lastly, the RBI monitors that the RBIs are what interest rate, to whom, and what reasons micro, yeah, only big business houses are receiving the loans. Everything is well managed, controlled, and monitored by the RBI for the smooth functioning of it. Why is it necessary? Have harmony, smoothness, everyone gets a loan, everyone is able to fulfill, not only big houses are getting, there is no cheating done, no money is wasted, banks are being fair in lending, and everyone is contented and happy. That's why an official bank monitors them. Thank you, children. This is all for this video. Looking forward for your subscribing and liking it.